Okay, so in the process of learning the C++ language, I actually came across this Microsoft website which shows us how to create a console calculator in C++. And this article was actually dedicated to or it showed us how to do this using the Visual Studio 2022 IDE. That's that big IDE, which is around 20 something gigabytes from what I remember. But I am using Visual Studio Code, which is the lighter version, and I was trying to follow along to see if I could get this working. And I remember that I stumbled upon one problem. So I'm just going to be going through this and let us see if we can actually get the program working. So let's go. So of course we create our project. So I'm gonna skip over this and get to where the actual coding is involved. All right, so here's the first file. So we're supposed to create an empty. Okay, so we create the calculator tutorial.cpp, but I'm going to create, I'm not going to name it the same or give it the same name that they did. I'm going to name mine main.cpp. So, well, I did it already, so I'm just going to delete everything and just start from scratch. So move to recycle bin. Okay, so create our first file. I'll collapse this. All right, so let's create our first file. I'm going to call it main.cpp. Enter. This is where we're supposed to be starting. Okay, so copy this and Control A, Control V. Okay, there we go. All right, so this is quite easy to read. We're just simply displaying this information. So if we should run this program right now, we're just going to be displaying the calculator, the text calculator console application. This is going to be displayed, and also this section. Let me actually put this in one line. And in this program they use end-l, but if you read this article you will say that they recommend you using the forward slash n for the new line. I believe it was somewhere, might be somewhere down here, but anyway, let's continue. Oh, here it is, right? So it says it's a better practice to put the forward slash, oh, actually the backslash n inside the string. Okay, so there is that. So this is just giving you an explanation as to what the code is doing. So we're going to move on. All right, so they say we're going to be adding a calculator class. So they are showing the procedure for that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just manually create it. So I'm going to create a new file and I'm going to call this calculator, calculator.h, calculator.h, and I'm just simply going to copy over this code right here. So Control V, and here we go. Now earlier I actually made a documentation, or I left some comments here as to what each line does, but from the pragma once, I think this has to do with the instance having, all right, let me not go there, but anyways, this is creating a class called calculator, and we're making that class public, and we're also creating a function. So this file is actually dedicated for the declaration, or actually saying that, okay, this function and this class exists. So that's the purpose, or that's what my understanding of this header file. So let's move on. And here we have the understanding the code, so you can read that. And okay, they say a green squiggle appears under calculate, but in our case it is three little, this, I guess, gray looking dots. Now we can do the short way and we can actually hover over it, and we see where it says function definition for calculate not found, meaning that what we did was we declared that there is a function called calculate, and we declared as of the type double. However, we haven't given it a definition. We didn't say what the function does. So you for a shortcut you could actually hover over it. Let me hover, okay, and you can say quick fix, and you see this line that says create definition of calculate, so we can do that. Okay, there, all right, there we go, there's a delay. So you can hover over it and it will automatically create this file right here, or you can just manually create it. So whichever way, it's fine. Just make sure you get the name right. So for example, you have the include here, and we have a calculator.h, and I guess you can name this anything you want. So that is that. So let's keep moving. So here we're going to make some edits. So by default, this is what VS Code gave us. So we're going to make some edits. So I'm just going to simply copy over this because I mean it's there, no need to really rewrite anything. So Control A, we're going to delete that, and then we're going to paste this section right here. So now we have included the header, and we are now going to be defining, or we're going to be saying exactly what the function calculate does. And of course, because the function calculate is found in the class calculator, we have to make sure we state that class right here. So there we go. So now everything should be fine. So we're finished with these two files for now. So we're going to go back to the main, and we're going to see what else they have to say about this. So let's continue. Okay, so to call the calculator class, okay, so we're going to update the main function, because as we see here, we have not really, I mean, it's a calculator, right? So we don't have any code that is present that will allow us to accept user input and to calculate any number. So we have to now edit that. So I'm not going to type anything. They give us the code already, so we're just going to copy it over. So Control A, delete that. Control V. Now, at a first glance, for the most part, I understood exactly what was happening, but until I reached this section, it was a bit blurry. I wasn't understanding this section, but I was able to actually do some reading, and I found out that right here, when we see the word calculate, we remember it from, wait a second, calculator. This was the class that we created. It was in the header file. There we go, calculator. And what we're saying is that it's almost like we're declaring the class to a letter C, and just right. So we come down here now, and we just put back the C right here. So instead of having to write out the word calculator here, we just basically write C and dot calculate. So this is a shortcut right here. Okay, so going back, and we can read up here to see, understand the code, and skip over that. Okay, so we can now run this code, and let's see what happens. And right away, well, I was going to say that there's going to be an error. So this was where I was puzzled. I was wondering what was going on. Well, here's the thing. We can read down here, and we see it says undefined reference to calculator. Remember, this was our class that we created. Now, we included the header file, which was this. However, when we get down to here, this function called calculate, remember, the header file only says that this function exists, but it has no idea what the function does. So it means, therefore, now we have to now include a file that defines the function, which is this one. So it means, therefore, that we're missing this line. So we should say number sign include calculator, calculator, calculator.cpp. I'm going to save that. And then now when we go to press run now, we wait. And there we go. It works. So just wait a second. There we go. Calculator console application. So we're going to enter. So we're going to say 2 plus 3. Enter. There we go. 2 plus 3 is 5. And say 9 plus 10. Whoops. Okay. Interesting. 9 plus 10. I mean, this is not 9 plus 20. Fine. 29. So, right. So it's working. And if we continue reading, we could actually, well, they go down to the debug section where you can actually debug it. Now, all right, this was really planned, but I guess I'll just show you the debugger. So the debugger in VS Code is actually related to the task, hold on, the launch.json. So this is how you can actually configure the debugger. And the most important part here is for the debugger path. So I have mine. Well, the name of the file is gdb.exe. So depending on where this file is located, that is the path you need to set here. And what you can do now is you can either go to the debugger and you can now click on this and say start debugging, and You just wait a bit, it will start the build. So what it will do is now it will bring up the launch file and it will go through this, and notice it says the pre-launch task is the build only. So if you go back to here now in saying tasks, here is the build only. So it's going to execute this task, and that's where you saw the build task running. And then afterwards now it is going to now begin the debugging process. So, well, I didn't set any breakpoint, so it's just going to run through. It's going to start the, let's see, sorry. So it starts debugging, but I think it should end because we haven't set a breakpoint. But I guess it's waiting for user input. But anyways, you can test out the debugger. That this is how you would get to it. Just make sure you set up the launch.json. You can, by using code runner, you can go up here, you can press the drop down and you can say run c/c++ file, and it will take you to the debugger, or you can just go over this side and it's in this this section right here. So there you go. I'll just stop right here. I mean, you could continue and you can edit the code to where it deals with the division by 0, because of course, if any number, if you try to divide a number by 0, it's going to be undefined. So you can continue with this section. But I just thought I would clear up this problem that I faced, because basically the Microsoft website did not cover this part about including the calculator.cpp, that third file. So yeah, this is just something I thought I would share. So if this video was helpful, please like and subscribe, and I will see you again in the next video. All right, peace.